Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of the Playbook series. This is the third part of this series so far. In the last episode, I showed you what design principles were and gave you practical examples on how they were used in different designs. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be showing you design elements and what they are and how to use them. Now, following our illustration, that design can be like cooking, and if you don't know how to cook, you can't make good food, right? Now, with principles of designs cover how to cook. Then, design elements are the ingredients that we use to cook what we cook. Now, there are 7 basic elements of design. So, we're going to cover the basic 7 and then add 2 more to it to make that 9, all right? So, let's jump straight into it. The first on our list is lines. Now, a line is a continuous mark. This line can be curved, straight, thick, thin, dashed, or fluid. It helps create direction, movement, and structure in the designs that we are creating. Now, lines are not always used in every design, but whenever we use it, we usually would use it to one, create movement and direction, or to create structure, that is, break down the segments of our design so that it is better understood. Second element of design is shape. A shape is a closed form created by lines, colors, or textures. Shapes can be geometric, like squares and circles, and then they could be organic. Now, shapes help us to organize content in a design, create symbolism or emotion, and forms the fundamentals of logos and icons. So let's take an example to help us better understand this. For this particular design that you're seeing right here, the shapes were used to break down the different segments, the information, as well as put the judges in specific boxes so as to create a certain level of structural uniformity in this design. Thirdly, we have color. Color is the visual perception of light. Science will tell you that the reason why you can perceive color is because of how much light is entering into your eyes. Now, colors are very, very powerful, and I feel like this is going to be or colors deserve an entire series on their own so that you understand them better. But colors many times evoke a certain sense of a certain emotion, a certain feeling in the people who are seeing it. And many times they also have cultural significance. So a certain type of color that means something in this part of the world would mean something entirely different in a different part of the world. So having this at the back of your mind will always allow you choose the right colors that on their own communicate the value you're trying to pass across. So still continuing with this example, one of the reasons why I decided to stick to colors like yellow, orange, and red was because the entire vibe of this event was that it was a talent hunt. We are looking for shining stars. So we decided to stick to bright and vibrant colors, yellow, orange, and red, to depict that emotion already off the bat. The next element on our list is texture. Texture refers to the surface value, how something looks or feels. So just by looking at a certain object, we can tell what the texture of that object is. But in this example, we can see that we have light textures giving us the feel as though each of these judges are sitting down in front of an entire media crew taking pictures all at once of them. These little textures give us also a certain feeling. Next design elements is space. Space, or sometimes referred to as negative space, is the area left around the elements. Doing this properly will allow your design to be breathable, easily understood, and it will give it structure. One mistake a lot of people make is just overcrowding the designs, so there's not enough negative space for us to feel like, oh, this is okay, or they do not utilize the space that they have enough. So you have to always find a delicate balance in between this. You don't want to use too less of it, and you don't want to use too much of it. Space improves readability, focus, elegance, simplicity, and defines the relationship between elements. Next design element is form. Now, form refers to three-dimensional shape that is giving depth to the elements or the visuals in the design. Let's take this design to as well. For example, you can tell from the major talent hunt type that's been created that this is a 3D text in comparison to every other element in the design. So we're able to use form to essentially establish that depth and dimension in the text. So you can clearly tell that one has more depth and form while the other has less width. The next element is value. Value means lightness or darkness of a color or tone, which makes contrast possible. So value just refers to how much light is in an image or how much darkness is in that image. So it also heavily influences the tone and the feel of the design. It creates depth, focus, and mood. So in this design too, for example, you can tell that around, like the entire background around the subject is darker, while the center of it is much brighter, drawing your eyes to each of the judges specifically. And how did we do that? We ensured that there was more darkness in the background and more light in the center. So the two more I would like to add as design elements, first of all, is typography. So typography is the art and technique of arranging texts. I strongly believe that type is very important in design. There are a couple of design elements that I feel once you understand them to the core of what they are, you are just another designer entirely. So something like colors, something like typography are very, very essential elements. Like if you nail these two, you can just gloss over the rest. You're going to see like a huge difference or a huge change in the quality of work that you put out. Typography defines the mood of the fonts. When you see a script font, you usually notice that script fonts are usually used around wedding designs, for example, and it gives a certain kind of feel, a certain ethereal theme. You don't want to use that on a design like this. This type of design is a very bossing, a very youth-free vibe type of design. So we wanted to ensure that the font we were using carried that essence in itself. That the font was strong, firm, and energetic. We're able to achieve that with this design. The last element of design is images, and images refer to all visual elements like photos and graphics that communicate ideas and information. Images support the message. So when you're choosing pictures for your design, ensure that you're choosing something that is very much relevant to what is happening in the design. A friend of mine sent me a design a while back. I don't really have it. If not, I sold it to you guys. And it was a lady in a cloud, like her picture, and then there was a very cloudy background behind her, blue skies and all of that. So I assumed, oh, this lady just died and she's called Glory and everything. And I was like, oh, let me just look around the image for a name so I can know the name or at what age she died. And truly, 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 I saw a happy birthday text around this design and I shouted. I was like, may they never wish you a peaceful exit when it's your birthday. I was really, really surprised by that. I was genuinely surprised. So you can see that the type of image that was used just conveyed an entirely different message. If I had not read it, I probably would have thought, oh, this lady has died, and I'll be sending condolence messages and all of that. So images are very, very important. When you're choosing them, make sure they are relevant. The designs that you are making. So in this one, for example, I veered towards a lot of light because it's a stage performance. It's something like Got Talent and all of that with big stage lights and every of all those kind of things. We just wanted big lights in the design to just emphasize that, okay, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is a big stage and all of that. That brings us to the end of this particular episode. In the next part of the series, I'll be talking to you about design softwares, how to use them. If you notice, design softwares were not referred to as elements in this design. Why? Because design softwares or platforms allow you to interface with these elements. So they are like the pot where you put all your elements inside. So the next episode, I'll be explaining to you why certain softwares are better than others. And then we'll try to break down different software so that you understand what they are and how to use them to get the kind of results you want to get. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comment section down below. If you are not subscribed, please do subscribe because we're ensuring that we revolutionize the design space. All right. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode.